Welcome to episode 115 of the Family Answer Man podcast, where today we're talking about avoiding the pitfalls of trying to make your wife happy from a biblical worldview on the Family Answer Man. I'm your host, David Ortis, and I'm here with Dr. Mark Crosby. He's a pastor, educator, mental health professional, and the resident expert here on the Family Answer Man. The Family Answer Man is not a therapy session. We're not able to give you specific advice to your situations, but we do believe that mental and spiritual health are very important. So for in-depth answers to your questions, definitely want to encourage you to seek professional counsel for those. Before we jump in today, if you would hit that notification bell and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss an episode of the Family Answer Man, that would be really awesome. We would love to get the word out to more people to help grow this community. And as always, if you would invite your family and friends to join you on this journey of making happier, healthier families, that'd be awesome. Well, Dr. Mark, good to be here with you today.
Yes.
Excited about today's show.
Yes.
We may have got some people's attention, avoiding the pitfalls of trying to make your wife happy.
Yep.
Some people may be questioning that.
Yep.
And so that's going to be a fun thing to get into today. Is that something that you find guys ask a lot, is how do I make my wife happy?
You know, and again, we have to distinguish, and I will argue, and many others have said this as well, but I think the good husbands do. The good husbands are those men who, again, they have a love for their wife, they have a love for their family, they have a servant's heart, they want to give and sacrifice, they take seriously the scripture, husbands, love your wives the way Christ loves the church. And so I would like to think that most of our listening audience who are Christians, who are followers of Jesus, who are involved in church, will basically be in that number, if you will, in that category. That these are good husbands who really do want to do good things for their family, but especially for their wife. And so, again, I think when a husband wants to do that and desires to do that, that's a good thing. The problem is that sometimes that wives, have to understand, and we'll talk about this more in a moment, that happiness is not something their husband says or does or doesn't say or doesn't do. Happiness is about them. In other words, it's something that is within them. That sounds a little cliche, I know, but happiness is something that someone else cannot do for you. In other words, someone cannot make you happy.
Okay.
They don't have that power. Happiness is going to come from you as a person, dealing with your issues, your concerns, what it is that you're focusing on, and we'll talk about this more in a moment, because we all focus on something. And what you choose to focus on is going to determine for you whether or not you're going to be a happy person or an unhappy person, a satisfied person or an unsatisfied person, a person full of gratitude or a person full of sadness. And so I will say that more of this in a moment, but I think most husbands, to answer your question, who are good husbands, who are good men, really do want to do what they possibly can to create an environment whereby their wife, their children are content, feel secure, feel safe, feel valued, and hopefully ultimately feel happy.
Yeah, I think that's important to note, and something that I'm looking forward to talking about.
Absolutely.
The idea that you can help set an environment that can foster happiness, but that happiness comes from, like you said, sounds cliche, but happiness comes from within.
It's something they have to generate themselves.
That's right. So today, if you have a question and you want to get your question read on air, you can email us at the Family Answer Man at liveoak.church. That's familyanswerman@liveoak.church. And the question that we have for today is written in from a husband, and it says, I try to make my wife happy. I try to be a good husband and father. I work hard. I plan dad nights. I try to be understanding. However, she, his wife, says that she's just not happy, shows very little affection, and he's wondering, what can he do?
Yeah, so here you have a situation that is not uncommon, first of all, and that is the wife maybe for whatever reason is saying to her husband, I'm not happy. Some will say, I don't love you the way a wife should love a husband. I don't love you the way I used to. I love you, but I'm not in love with you, and on we go. And so as a therapist, I've heard and seen that scenario, hundreds of times, unfortunately. And so here's some points we have to consider. Number one, doing things for your wife is a good thing. So in other words, no, you cannot do anything to make her happy. But I think we have to be reminded as husbands that doing things for your wife is a good thing. But you do it not to make her happy, but you do it because it's simply the good thing or the right thing to do.
Now, how big of a distinction is that? Because some people would say, yeah, what's the difference?
Yeah. Well, again, the difference is this, is that if what you're doing is simply trying to make her happy by doing this, then you're going to be very frustrated because there's nothing that you're going to be able to do to make her happy. But if you do things that good men do, that good husbands are to do, and creating an environment, then now you have an atmosphere whereby her happiness, as she begins to discover it on her own, has a place to flourish, has a place to grow, has a place to expand. So for example, I would argue that a good husband will have the heart of a servant. In other words, you want to serve her. You want to make sure that you're there to greet her, to help her. You say things like, what can I do to help? What can I do to make your life easier? What can I do to make things better? And in many ways, when a husband does that, it creates, again, the environment of, again, he is concerned about me. He wants to be a part of what we're doing. He's not sitting on the sidelines watching me take care of everything. Because, again, you want to have, if you will, a servant's heart. Next, most good husbands will discover what she enjoys. In other words, what is it that she enjoys? Does she enjoy maybe a quiet moment on the patio or the back, of the deck, if you will, of the home or the balcony or whatever, with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea? What does she enjoy? Does she like a long walk? Does she enjoy maybe just sharing a bowl of ice cream? I mean, what is it that she enjoys? Next, a good husband will be sensitive to her needs. So in other words, he is considerate of what is it that she wants and needs from me, the value, the communication, the discussion, the conversation, the hugs. What is it that she needs? And also, too, this sounds a little cliche, but also a good husband will speak her love language.
Yeah. So,
and we've talked about this before.
Yep.
Those 5 areas of love, or those 5 love languages, if you will. One being time, one being words of affirmation, one being acts of service, physical affection and touch. So all of these are the love languages that we all share. And again, knowing that love language and speaking it. So these are all some things that, again, a good husband, a good man will want to do for his wife.
Yeah.
However, this is, again, the crucial point of today. These things will not make her happy. Now, these are important things. These are good things. These are things that create a nice environment. But again, they do not make her happy. Her happiness, therefore, is dependent on her, not you. And the ladies who are listening, the wives who are listening, you know that down deep. You know that your happiness is not dependent on your spouse. Your happiness is dependent on you. And so here's the point. People who struggle with unhappiness are choosing to focus on things that contribute to their unhappiness.
Okay. So
again, for those of you who are listening, ladies, ask yourself this question. What do you focus on? What do you focus on? Because we all focus on something. For example, ask yourself this question. Do you focus on what you have or what you don't have? If you focus on what you have, you'll be a grateful person.
Right.
You'll be a person of gratitude. I focus on the fact that I have great children, or I have healthy children, hopefully, or I have a home, a roof over my head. I have a husband who works hard. And if you focus on that, a sense of gratitude will emerge. But if you focus on what you don't have, well, I don't have the newest car. I don't have, the finest jewelry. I don't have, the biggest house. I don't have, the smartest kids, or whatever it may be. Okay. So if you focus on what you don't have, that's going to create a sense of depression. That's going to create a sense of, life's not fair and everyone's against me. And so again, you have to ask yourself, what do you focus on? Next, do you focus on your past, or your present, or your future? Now, if you were the prom queen and you focus always on your past, and now you're not the prom queen anymore, you're going to feel a sense of, my best years are behind me. And so now there's going to be a sense of depression.
Right.
But if you focus on your present, again, you will know that there are certain things you can accomplish. And if you focus on your future, there's certain things you can achieve. So again, ask yourself, where do you focus? Do you focus on your past? Again, if you focus on your past too long, you're going to miss your present.
Right.
Do you focus on your present or your future? What is it that you're focused on? And the list could go on. What's your focus? What are you focusing on? And you get to choose that. Next, beware of the fact that many people who claim to be unhappy or struggle in their relationships, especially with their spouse, may have what is called an avoidant personality disorder.
Okay, so help everybody understand.
Yeah, now we
what
talk
avoidant
about personality
is.
disorders a lot on this program because we believe they're very real and they're something that many people aren't aware of, and we throw around lots of words like narcissism and things of that nature, psychopath and things like that. But really, these are personality disorders, okay? And so again, a person with an avoidant personality disorder, they're going to have about 7 primary symptoms.
Okay.
And they all have to do with, again, this sense of avoidance. Number one, a person with an avoidant personality disorder, they avoid occupations or they avoid activities that involve significant interpersonal contact because they fear criticism. They fear disapproval. They fear rejection. And so therefore, they're not going to get involved in an activity or take on a job or a career or an occupation whereby they're going to be involved with lots of interpersonal contact. In other words, if they're going to be a sales rep or they're going to be involved in HR or whatever it may be, these individuals refuse these kind of jobs. Or if there's lots of activities like, hey, maybe you're the pastor's wife and you have to meet, the mission team for tea or whatever. Right. Okay. Or you have to meet, the women's auxiliary, for a fundraiser. And you are just so fearful because they're going to criticize how you look or how you dress or the fact that you weren't there last Sunday or you're not playing the piano or there's some sort of disapproval of your kids, got, suspended for talking or you feel rejected. So these individuals, again, number one, who have this avoidant personality, avoids occupations or activities whereby criticism, disapproval, or rejection are going to occur.
And shout out to all the pastors' wives. If you are a pastor's wife, God bless you. It is a lot bigger burden than many seem to realize. A lot of people think it's glamorous and fun all the time. Right. It can be a heavy burden. And if you are attending a church somewhere, tell your pastor's wife how much you appreciate her because she does a great job and she is critical to the success of your pastor.
Exactly. Well, there's a calling on her life as well that many do not recognize. Yeah. Second of all, so the avoidant personality, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about the avoidant personality disorder and how, again, that impacts marriages. So the second symptom of an avoidant personality disorder is that they will not get involved with people unless they're certain they're going to be liked.
Okay.
They will not get involved with people unless they're certain they're going to be liked. So again, this person may not go to the fundraiser or to the auxiliary meeting or to the missions meeting because they're fearful that what if I go and they don't like me? Okay. So they will not get involved in areas or people unless they're certain they'll be liked. Thirdly, they show restraint with intimate relationships. So in other words, this person may be experiencing this husband may be experiencing this with his wife, as a lot of these individuals, a lot of these wives who have avoidant personality disorder, they show restraint when it comes to intimate relationships. They're not as affectionate. They're not as forthcoming. They're not as involved. And the reason why, once again, is because they fear being shamed or ridiculed. They fear that there may be some flaw physically. They fear that maybe they've gained some weight. They fear that they're not as pretty as they used to be. They fear that they're not as pretty as, the people they work with. And so they restrain themselves from intimate relationships because of fear of being shamed or ridiculed. Fourthly, if you're just joining us, we're talking about the symptoms of the avoidant personality disorder. Fourthly, they're preoccupied with being criticized or rejected in social situations. So they're constantly thinking, what if I go there and I get rejected? What if I go there and I embarrass myself? What if I go there and I bring something to the gathering that may be considered inexpensive or inappropriate or whatever? What if I tell a story and nobody laughs? What if somebody asks me about my past? What if somebody asked me, where I went to college and I didn't go to college? Or what if somebody asked me, about a relationship that they heard about, 35 years ago? What about that? How do I handle that situation? So they're preoccupied with being criticized or rejected in social situations. Next, they are inhibited in new interpersonal situations because of feelings of inadequacy. Again, they have a hard time making new friends or meeting new people. They're not very good at, again, having that situation where we've all heard, hey, I feel like I've known you all my life. We became instant friends. That's not them.
Okay.
So they're inhibited in any new interpersonal situation because of feelings of inadequacy. Number 6, they view themselves as socially inept, personally unappealing, or inferior to others. They're the ones who walk into the room and go, oh gosh, she has a Louis Vuitton or whatever, purse, and I got mine, from Dollar General or whatever, and so it's kind of like, I don't fit in here. Yeah. Or they're wearing, the latest fashion shoes and I'm wearing, last year's, flip-flops or whatever it may be. And so now they feel this sense of being unappealing or inferior to others. Oh, they're all talking about, how they, got their master's degree and I, barely finished high school. Oh no, what are they going to say about me? So there's this view of being socially inept, personally unappealing, or they know chapter and verse of all the Bible's stories, and I don't even know where Genesis is, And so they have this feeling of inadequacy. And number 7 is they're unusually reluctant to take personal risk or to engage in any new activity because of feelings of embarrassment. So these are the people who have this avoidant personality disorder. And unfortunately, what this simply means in a nutshell, they have these feelings of being abandoned. They have these feelings they're not good enough. They have these feelings that, again, their spouse perhaps is too good for them. And so what's happening is, in reality, they're feeling as if they are not adequate for their spouse. In other words, they feel very inadequate as far as their husband. And so this unhappiness or this depression that they're feeling is based on this feeling of inadequacy. In other words, what they're feeling is, what if I get abandoned? What if my spouse, wakes up one morning and feels like I'm not good enough? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe push back against him before he abandons me.
Okay.
And so the question is, where does this come from?
Yeah.
Where do these feelings of inadequacy come from? Where does this avoidant personality come from? As we said before, avoidant personalities, or any personality disorder, I should say, has a strong genetic component, okay? But there's also a strong environmental component, especially to the avoidant personality person. And what this could stem from is feeling abandoned as a child. This is the daughter whose dad was not very loving or affectionate. This is the daughter who has a dad who is hardly ever around. This was the daughter of the dad who was emotionally checked out. This was the daughter of the dad who never gave blessings to his daughter. And so she automatically feels abandoned by the first man in her life, namely her dad. Maybe there was a death. Maybe there was a divorce. Maybe dad only saw her, every other weekend, or 4 days out of the month. And even then he was checked out. Maybe this dad had a problem with addiction or alcoholism. In other words, the daughter feels abandoned by the dad. In some cases, the daughter feels abandoned by the mom. The mom, is constantly chasing the next boyfriend as she was growing up. The mom is working, 3 jobs just to put food on the table as she was growing up. Mom maybe had an addiction problem as this daughter was growing up. So in other words, the daughter feels this abandonment from the significant people in her life, her dad, her mom, maybe even her older siblings. Maybe she had an older sibling that was abusive. Maybe she had an older sibling that was constantly ridiculing her, condemning her, making fun of her, criticizing her. You're too fat, you're too this, you're too thin, you're too this, you're ugly, you're all these things. And she hears this all of her developmental years from a older brother or older sibling, and now she starts to believe it. And she brings that into her relationship now as a wife. And so the primary concern is she has these feelings of abandonment. So the avoidant person, here's the point, they always pull away.
Okay.
Even in a marriage, the avoidant person always pulls away, and they say to their husband, you're not making me happy. I don't love you like I should. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. And those are words of a person who's trying to push back as they withhold love, withhold affection, withhold intimacy to protect themselves.
And they're looking to protect themselves.
They're looking to protect themselves. And so they're looking to protect themselves from the fear of feeling or experiencing abandonment. So what does she need to do?
Yeah.
What does this person need to do? So if you just tuned in, we're talking about the wife who's avoiding her husband, who is pushing back, who's saying to him, you don't make me happy. I don't want you in my life. She's withholding affection, what have you. So if you're just tuning in, we're talking about the wife who, again, is struggling with feeling abandoned. So what does she need to do? Number one, she needs to own it. Or put another way, so everybody can remember who's listening, she needs to name it. She needs to say, look, this is my story. I feel abandoned. I am fearful of abandon. I've been abandoned all of my life. I've been abandoned by my dad. I was abandoned by my boyfriends when I was in high school. They always had someone else prettier out there. I was abandoned by friends. I was abandoned, throughout my life. And so now I just know that my husband, because he's, the latest and greatest, person, whatever, everybody, thinks he's the, top dog at the firm. He's a top dog, at the store. He's a top dog at the plant. He's a top dog at the church. Eventually, he's going to do away with me. So you have to name that this is what's going on inside of you.
Why is it so important to name it?
Because you cannot change what you don't diagnose. You cannot change what you don't diagnose.
Wow.
And so you need to understand this about yourself. Then claim it. What is it doing? What is it doing to you? What is it doing to your marriage? What's it doing to your husband? What's it doing to your kids? What's it doing to your relationships? What's it doing to your career? What's it doing to your walk with Christ? What's it doing to the fellowship of the people in your church? So name it. Hey, I'm struggling with this. Avoid it. Claim it. What is it doing? And then thirdly, aim at the injustice. Take aim at the abuse that you experience. Take aim at the false beliefs that you're not adequate. Take aim of the false belief that you lack value. And then you begin to tame it. And by tame it, that's through counseling, through prayer, through discussion, talk it over with your spouse, get it out there so that you can at least begin to get it out of you so it can be looked at, examined, analyzed, treated, and eventually discarded.
Right, because the husband clearly is concerned, but essentially if the wife in this situation is in an avoidant personality and she's doing it to protect herself, then really this is a painful way to live.
Yeah, it is
and
very painful.
Starting to tame it is a way for you to grow and be set free and have some security in life that you're really searching for. Right.
So if you're just tuning in, again, for those who have any disorder, especially the avoidant personality disorder, you got to name it, got to diagnose it. You got to claim it. What is it doing to us? Then you got to aim at, again, where did this come from? The lack of affection growing up, the abandonment growing up. And you got to tame it through therapy and through discussing this and through bringing this, to the heart of your spouse, through praying about it. So what can you do as a husband that would be beneficial? If she is struggling, if your wife is struggling with this avoidant personality disorder, what can you do as a husband? Again, the following will not make her happy. However, but the following will bless her.
Okay.
And there's a difference. It will not make her happy. Again, as a husband, you cannot make her happy, but you can do things that will bless her. What are those things? Real quickly. Number one, little things. Make her coffee each morning, or make her breakfast, and even do maybe on the weekend the proverbial breakfast in bed kind of thing, but do something as often as possible that would bless her. Number two, encourage her as often as you can. Hey, you did a great job. The people at the Women's Missionary Society really was grateful that you were there. They were so glad to see you. Thirdly, spend time with her. Doing things that have a sort of an activity to it. Walking together, biking together, boating together, camping together, whatever it may be, but something that has an activity to it where you're getting some fresh air, you're being outside, you're walking, you're talking, you're enjoying the company of one another, a picnic, a tailgating, something along those lines that she would enjoy. Fourthly, this sounds a little weird for some guys, but plant something. Most women love flowers. Most women love gardening. Most women love, planting something, but plant something with her. Dig in the dirt, get outdoors, plant some flowers, decorate something, clean something. Maybe your wife has been wanting you to clean out that closet, clean out that garage, clean out that carport, clean out that shed. And she's been wanting you to do that because she would feel better if things were in order. So go ahead and do that for her. Or put another way, fifthly, if you're keeping count, do chores around the house that are helpful. Yeah, you take out the trash, and yeah, you do the dishes, but there's something else you can do by asking her, what can I do to help? Please do that. Surprise her with little things. Maybe bring home something, that she would enjoy. I don't know if she likes a particular brand of fill in the blank, a certain candy or a certain, purse or whatever it may be, but get her something just because. Share what she enjoys. If she enjoys going out and just window shopping, then go ahead and do that. Go to some of the quaint little towns in and around your area and just do some window shopping for a little bit. Allow her some time for herself. Maybe she wants to go see her sister. Maybe she wants just to have a lunch with some of her friends from work. But allow her some time for herself. Help her to feel cherished and verbalize, number 10, your love for her. Keep in mind, she needs to have a good image and good belief about herself. That's the goal. Yeah. Happy people, again, we can't emphasize this enough, but happy people don't need you to make them happy. Yeah. Happy people don't need you to make them happy. And some people, again, we need to be mindful of this, and we've been kind of talking about this. Some people, as Ruth said a while ago, are wired or they lean toward being unhappy. We've all met the person that we call Eeyore, right? Yes. For all the Winnie the Pooh fans out there. We all met that person that, again, no matter what you do, how bright and beautiful the day, how much of a raise they got, no matter how many A's their kids made on the report card, there are just some people that are not going to be happy. They're wired to be unhappy. So because when your spouse says to you, I need you to do these things to make me happy, beware. Okay. And there are certain things out there that many of us have experienced and heard about. Again, real quickly, there's not a lot of, what I call empirical research about this, but beware of when you hear someone say, especially your spouse, I need you to do these things to make me happy, because these things will not make me happy. But here's some of the things that spouses hear all the time. We need to move to another city. If we move to another city, that'll make me happy. No, it won't. You take your unhappiness with you, whether you go from New Orleans to Baton Rouge or Baton Rouge to Houma, or from Houma to Shreveport, doesn't matter. Next, I need a pet that will make me happy. Well, pets are great, but you don't get a pet to make me happy. Thirdly, people who agree to retire early. If your spouse keeps saying to you, you need to retire, that would make me happy. No, it won't. Retirement doesn't make your spouse happy. Here's one that we have to be very, very careful of. You just tuned out. You want to put your listening ears onto this one. This may not be true of our listening audience, but someone. An open marriage. When your spouse says, I want an open marriage, I want to be able to date other men, though married to you, that will make me happy. No, it won't. It'll lead to divorce. If your spouse wants you to stop your hobby, I want you to stop working out because that would make me happy. We need to have another child so I can be happy. Another child will not make you happy. I need to remodel the house. That would make me happy. No, remodeling the house may be good for the house, but it won't make you happy. Here's the takeaway. Happiness is something that has to come from within you. It's not something that someone can do for you or do to make you happy. People can bless you, people can love you, but they can't make you happy. You have to choose what you focus on. You have to learn what it means to take care of yourself, and you have to learn what it means to focus on those things that God has blessed you with. Be grateful for them and say, if God be for me, who can be against me? Jesus is my rock. He is my salvation. He is the one that I rest in. He is the one that I know loves me. And by doing these things and by focusing on that, your happiness has a much greater chance of, again, being seen and being felt and being heard inside of you as you begin to rest in God's amazing grace and the provision He has provided for you. So husbands out there, real quickly, you can't make her happy. Bless her the best you can. And realize this, the burden is not on you to make her happy.
Well, there you have it. You control your own happiness. Thank you for joining the Family Answer Man today. I hope that this episode will help you on your journey of building a stronger, healthier, happier family.